The God you believe in doesn't exist. Carl Jung. You've prayed. You've begged. You've waited for answers that never came. And at some point you started to wonder, is anyone even listening? Carl Jung didn't deny God. He questioned the version you were taught to believe in, not to destroy your faith, but to rebuild it, from something borrowed to something real, because the God you were given was never meant to set you free. Jung believed the image of God was projected, not discovered, shaped by fear, by culture, by human need for control. A God who watches, judges, punishes. A cosmic parent meant to keep you small. But what if that isn't divinity? What if the God you fear is just your shadow in disguise? Your guilt, your shame, your unhealed wounds wearing a halo? Jung didn't tell you to abandon God. He told you to stop outsourcing him, to stop looking for divinity in rules, rituals, and second-hand beliefs. Because the real transformation doesn't begin in churches. It begins in the soul. And the soul doesn't need permission to awaken. It only needs silence and the courage to confront what's real, not what's comfortable. The God you are taught to fear lives above you, distant, watching, judging. But the God Jung spoke of lives within you, not as an ego trip, but as a seed of consciousness. The divine isn't a sky father. It's the force in you that seeks wholeness, that confronts the shadow, embraces the unknown, and walks through fire not to be saved, but to be transformed. See, real spirituality isn't about obeying, it's about becoming. Jung said, your vision will become clear only when you look into your own heart. Who looks outside, dreams. Who looks inside, awakens. You weren't meant to follow blindly. You were meant to wrestle with the divine, to question, to doubt, to break apart the false until only truth remains. That's not blasphemy. That's awakening. And yes, the awakening hurts. Because when the God you believed in starts to crumble, so does the self that depended on him. You lose certainty. You lose comfort. But in that collapse, something ancient stirs. Not fear, but fire. You begin to sense a presence not outside you, but through you. It's not louder. It's deeper. Not a command, but a call. This call doesn't demand worship. It demands truth. It asks you to face your wounds, your contradictions, your darkness. Because the real God, the living God, is found not in perfection, but in wholeness. Not in escaping the world, but in embodying it fully. You don't ascend by leaving your pain. You ascend by entering it, owning it, and walking out the other side reborn. Most people don't want this kind of God. They want certainty, not transformation. They want a protector, not a mirror. But Jung knew a mirror is exactly what the soul needs. One that shows you not who you pretend to be, but who you truly are. And in that reflection, you don't find shame. You find the divine. Not above, not beyond, but burning in your bones. You begin to see now, the God you were sold was too small for your soul, too narrow for your questions, too fragile for your rage. Real divinity doesn't flinch at your doubt. It welcomes it. Because doubt, when followed honestly, doesn't lead to emptiness. It leads to depth, to mystery, to a God who doesn't fit in sermons, but speaks in silence. In that silence, you stop begging for signs. You stop searching for voices in the clouds. Because something shifts. You realize the divine doesn't need to answer. It's been moving through your life this whole time. In the heartbreaks, in the stillness, in the moments you almost gave up, but didn't. That resilience, that presence, that's what God feels like. Not distant, but intimate. You no longer need to be saved. You've met the sacred within. And from that place, you forgive the old stories, the God of fear, the God of shame. You thank them, then release them, because they were steps, necessary illusions. But now you walk with something deeper, a God who evolves as you do. Not a final answer, but an unfolding truth. So now when you hear, the God you believe in doesn't exist, you don't flinch. You smile, because you understand. The God you believed in was only a doorway. What you found beyond it can't be named, can't be caged, can't be sold. It lives in your breath, your questions, your becoming. And in that vast unknown, you're not lost. You're finally home.